and this is a redo of my video for Pluto for 2016. Who's being affected, who's being influenced. It's a redo because yesterday contained some glaring mistakes. I'm recording this at the start of a Mercury retrograde, so who knows what the outcome of this will be. Pluto, as we speak, is at 14/15 degrees of Capricorn, and he will move forward to 17 degrees. He's occupying the area between 14 and 17 degrees of Capricorn over this coming year. So let's deal with the individuals first before we look at the global situations. Pluto is going to be affecting those people born from the 6th to the 8th of January, July, April and October this year in a way that can only be described as challenging, confrontational and difficult. Now there's two ways you can, if you're one of these people folks, there's two ways you can manage this. One is that you can be the victim of Pluto's circumstances, end up feeling that the world's out to get you, that there's something subversive going on in your life, that there's an element of behind the scenes tactics or disempowerment going on, and that you feel you're being manipulated either by yourself, by others or by the world, and it's not a very nice transit. In fact, it's a real stinker. Alternatively, you can turn around and go, right, my life, my world, I'm responsible for my actions. I am not responsible for other people's reactions. And if people choose to be upset by what I'm doing in good faith, that's their problem. Thing is with Pluto, when he's in square, conjunction or opposition, is that he does bring situations into such black and white perspective that there can be no middle ground. You have to let go of certain things, people, situations and environments so that the future can then come in without having to negotiate old baggage. It is not so much loss as more as it is purging and detoxing and cleansing and purifying and where necessary eliminating the old. Pluto is not known as the planet of death and rebirth for nothing. Pluto will be trining the Sun of those of you born from perhaps May the 6th to May the 8th and September the 6th to the 8th in ways that's actually really healthy. This is going to be bringing the latent potential for a degree of transformation which should bring a subtle and background energy of more self-confidence, self-belief, and a deeper introspective insight into your own psychological workings. And Pluto is also going to be sextiling the Sun of those people born around March the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and November 6, 7, 8, 9 in ways that's really healthy. The difference between a sextile and a trine is that a sextile brings active opportunity, whereas the trine is just a latent opportunity. The sextile is potent. So those people born around the end of the first week of November and the end of the first week of March, this is a great year for you to be able to almost grab the world by the short and curlies and twist it and shape it into the way you want it to be. It's time to revolutionize your life in a really strong way, in a way that exudes more psychological self-awareness, more inner depth and more self-confidence. The outer planet, the other side of looking at Pluto is to look at the way it's shaping up in the world. Pluto's in Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of government, of structure, of order, of all types of business structures. And Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. And we've shunted the need for corporate, banking, political reorganisation further on down the line to such an extent that the elastic is about to snap back and break. Because of this, I think that the more we get into the year, the more the distrust of governments by the people is going to become palpable and obvious. And in those countries which purport to democracy, this is going to become more and more obvious in terms of protest. And in those countries that do not permit protest, there's almost inevitably going to be further types of revolution. Let's look at the major aspects to Pluto over the coming year, bearing in mind that Pluto is not the major role player in 2016. The Saturn square Neptune is taking much of the heat or much of the public media. But Pluto is going to be receiving 4 aspects this year that are significant. 2 of them are long term, 2 of them are short term. The long term ones both come from Jupiter. In the second half of the year, and particularly from October, November onwards, Jupiter will be squaring Pluto, and this is going to bring a major financial correction, probably in areas to do with house prices, banking regulation, economic management, and it's probably going to have to be a forced change rather than a willing one. However, in the first half of the year, at least until the end of May, Jupiter continues its ongoing trine to Pluto, giving the economic world the opportunity to make changes willingly, because if they don't do it by the end of May, then come November there's going to be some shocking changes at the financial and economic level. And there are a couple of particular flashpoints that do need attention, one of which is very imminent. The Mercury retrograde that is starting now, when it stands still, Mercury will stand still conjunct Pluto for a week, and this will take place over the period of the 20th to the 27th of January, which is a time that I do suspect is going to see a lot of lies coming up to the surface, a lot of hidden corruption being exposed, and a lot of disgust being expressed at various public figures who are going to be seen as being a sham of what they purport to be. And much later in the year, there is what I see as perhaps the killer moment of 2016, the conjunction of Mars in the sky with Pluto. This actually happens on the 19th, but the period of the second half of October, perhaps say the 13th through to the 24th of October, is very much a critical time where there can easily be a lot of deep machinations, a lot of subversive activity, and a lot of implosion and explosion. It's not quite what I call a 9/11 moment, but it is a time where there's going to be a large number of breakdowns of corporate and political governance in a way that will be final. This is not a good year for going out and spending lots of money on houses if you're going to be speculating. The only good time to buy a house this year is if you're planning on living in it as a home for the long-term future. Selling, yes. Buying, wait until the second half of 2017. Okay, that's Pluto for 2016.